Mobs burning churches, more than 100 killed, women raped and paraded in the streets. Hear the shocking reason behind these attacks against Christians in India.
Tonight, authorities in Pakistan cracking down after days of religious violence in the country. Mobs setting fire in the roads of Punjab province, burning 5 churches and attacking dozens of Christian homes.
We also what was happening to the Christians in Pakistan, the church burning and the persecution of Christians in Pakistan. I don't think anyone with a sane mind, regardless of their religious background, be it a Muslim, be it a Christian, be it a Hindu, be it a Jew, can come forward and say that what was happening was good for any reason. We as the Christians have all the reason to be angry and to be intrigued by the Muslims. They burn the churches, they kill Christians, they persecute them. Christians living under the Islamic occupation, example in the Middle East, North Africa and West Africa, experienced the worst. From a human perspective, we have all the reasons not to love them. It is crystal clear what the Muslim community think of us as Christians and how they ought to relate to us and how they ought to treat us. Both from the Quran and from the Sunnah, the God of Islam, that is Allah, forbids the Muslim from having a Christian as a friend. What does the Quran say? The Quran says in Surah Al-Ma'idah, that is Surah 5, Ayah 51, according to Pictal translation, O you who believe, take not the Jews and the Christians as friends. They are friends to one another. He who amongst you who takes them as a friend is one of them. Allah guides not the wrongdoers. Tafsir Ibn Kathir, one of the respected Muslim scholars, adds that, may Allah curse the Christian and the Jew. Allah goes to an extra mile of saying that, if a Muslim take a Christian or a Jew as a friend, he is no longer a Muslim, but one of them. This is how deep the hatred for Christian is. According to the Sunnah, which is the Hadith, Sahih Muslim, that is number 2167a, in book reference 39, Hadith number 16, it says, do not greet the Jews and the Christians before they greet you, and when you meet them on the way, post them the sewage, that is the narrowest path. Islam goes an extra mile of forbidding even greetings. Why? Did you offend them? No. Did you insult them? No. Simply because you aren't a Muslim. If you read through the Pact of Omar, which is a document by Omar bin Al-Khattab, this document is an outline of the laws that the Christians ought to follow. It is written by Omar and it's required for the Christians to oblige by what the document says. One of what the things that the document outlines is, we made a condition on ourselves that we neither erect in our areas of monastery, churches, or a sanctuary of a monk, nor restore any place of worship that need restoration, nor use any of them for the purpose of enmity against Muslims. The first condition is that if a church breaks down, if a church is demolished, maybe by anything, the Christians have no right to rebuild it. That is the first condition. The second condition is, we will not prevent any Muslim from resting in our churches, whether they come by day or by night. We will open the doors of our houses of worship for the pass-by Muslims. You see, it's very funny that if a Muslim is just passing by and maybe he's with his donkey, he can just come in and get in the church and rest there. No Christian should prevent them, right? Remember, this is a document that Omar is trying to depict that how they want to make the Christians live in peace. That is, this Muslim who come to us as guests will enjoy boarding and food for 3 days. If a Muslim is passing by your home and you're a Christian, he is allowed to come into your house and he should rest there for 3 days and 3 nights, and you should provide for him food without any questioning. The fourth one says, we will not allow a spy against Muslim in our churches and homes or hide deceit against Muslim. That means that if anyone who is not well known to that village will not be allowed to stay in the churches, because he will be considered as a spy. The fourth one says, we will not teach our children the Quran or precise practices of shirk, invite anyone to shirk, or prevent any of the followers from embracing Islam. What does it say? It says that the Christians should not teach their children the Quran. Why? Because they know that the Christians knows what the Quran says, and if the Christians teach their children what the Quran says, it will be very clear for the children and they will know why their parents never follow Islam. They also say that the Christians should not go preaching in the public, right? That is the other part of the agreement. The other one says, we will respect Muslims move from the place we sit if they choose to sit. That means it is just like the apartheid which was practiced in South Africa, whereby if you get into a bus and a white person gets in the bus, as a black person you need to wake up so that the white person can sit. This is the same thing. If a Christian is seated and a Muslim gets into the house, the Christian should stand up to give room for the Muslim to sit. The other one says, we will not imitate their clothing, caps, turbans, sandals, hairstyles, speech, nicknames, their titles, or ride on their saddle, on their donkeys, hang sword on their shoulders, correct weapon of any kind, or carry these weapons. These, first of all, the Christians were required to ride donkey while facing backward. That is the Pact of Oman. The other one says, we will not encrypt our stamp in Arabic or Serika. The Christians were not allowed to use Arabic, for it was considered like a blasphemy by the Muslims. The other one says, we will have the front of our hair cut, refrain from erecting crosses on the outside of our churches, and demonstrating our books in public in Muslim ways and market. That means that if the Christians have a church, they should not erect a cross outside the church, right? The Christians were required to shave at the front of their head. That was just a sign of humiliation. These are just so many, right? The Christians were not allowed to bury their dead next to the Muslims. They were not allowed to buy the slaves which were previously owned by the Muslims. The Christians, all these were laws that were put in place with the one main purpose: to oppress the Christians. The Christians who owned the land conquered by the Muslims were required to pay jizya to live. According to Surah At-Tawbah, that is Surah 9, Ayah 29, says, "By those who believe not in Allah, nor the last day, nor hold what is forbidden by Allah and His Messenger, nor acknowledge the religion of the truth," that is the people of the book, that is the Christian and the Jews, until they pay jizya with submission and fearing themselves subdued. According to Islam, anyone who doesn't recognize Allah as God and Muhammad as his messenger, you are an enemy to Islam and you should be fought against. Remember, they never wage war against the Muslims. By refusing to obey Muhammad, you have two options. One, it's either you pay jizya or you die. According to Ibn Kathir, he adds that paying jizya is a sign of the kafar, that is the non-Muslim, and disgrace. Muslims aren't allowed to honor Christians and Jews, for they are miserable, disgraced, and humiliated. In the same surah, that is Surah 9, and the previous ayah, that is Ayah 28, Allah described the Christians and the Jews as mushrikeen, that is the idolaters, and He said they are filthy, dirty, najis. This is just the tip of the iceberg on what Islam says about Christians. My point is, looking at all this, it's now understandable why Muslims in the Muslim country find fun in tormenting the Christians by burning their churches, killing them, stealing from them, and persecuting them. The Muslims being deceived and are yet to see the right, who is Christ. As I said, from a human lens, you have all the reason and all the right to hate them, seek vengeance. But what did Jesus say? In the Gospel according to Luke, that is chapter 6, verses 32 to 34, it says, "If you love those who love you, what credit is it to you? Even sinners love those who love them. And if you do good to those who do good to you, what credit is it? Even sinners do that." Jesus tells us that we are the light of the world, a town built on the hill that cannot be hidden. That is according to the Gospel of Matthew chapter 6, verses 14. We are the one who should shed the light to those living in darkness. Since the Muslims think that by killing the Christians they are doing a favor to God, but Jesus said in the book of John chapter 16, verses 1 to 4, "All this I have told you so that you will not fall away. They will put you out of the synagogue. In fact, a time is coming when anyone who kills you will think that they are doing a favor to God. They will do such things because they do not know the Father or me." Jesus tells us why Muslims, Hindus, Orthodox Jews oppress and express hatred towards the Christians. It's simply because they don't know the Father nor Jesus. As Christians, we cannot seek revenge. We cannot seek to burn their mosques or their temples or their synagogues. If anyone insults Jesus, we cannot kill them. As what happens in Pakistan, as the Pakistani law, the constitution, law number 295C, says that speaking against Muhammad is considered blasphemy and is punishable by death. We don't need to fight for Christ. He is God. He do fight for us. All we ought to do is love and pray for those who want to persecute us and those who hate Christ, simply because they don't don't know the truth. They are people who are in the darkness. And the best way to counter darkness is by having the right. You don't counter darkness by darkness, which is seeking vengeance and killing and persecuting them. We pray for them. If they burn our churches and tomorrow they are starving, we give them something to eat. By so doing, we will be shedding the light of Christ to those who are in darkness. When the Romans fed the Christians to the lions, example, Ignatius of Antioch, roasted others, example, St. Lawrence, and killed many Christians in a brutal manner. Thinking that they are dismantling Christ, they made it even stronger. For people who had the question, what is this that these people believe in, that they cannot denounce even in the sight of death? Many found the truth, the way, and the life, who is Christ. As Jesus said, unless a grain of wheat falls on the ground, dies, it remains just a grain of wheat. But if it dies, it produces such fruit. Through their death, many were saved. My Christian brothers and sisters, let's take heart and stand for the truth. For Christ is the victor. Even the Roman Empire, once the greatest enemy of Christ, became the reason for the spread of the gospel to all the corners of the world. For Christ is God, and God is good, and I'm into that. Till I see you again, bye and take care.